I wasn't invited. Not this year, not the year before. Not for the last 10. The email arrived on a Tuesday subject line, cheerful, desperate to sound warm. Whitmore Family Retreat 2025. RSVP. By Friday. It wasn't meant for me. I knew that before I even clicked. But I clicked anyway. Everyone was there. Camille, of course, her husband, both kids, Aunt Jeanine from Savannah, Uncle Roger still wearing that ridiculous fishing hat in every photo, even Cousin Lily who once stole my prom dress and denied it with a straight face. But not me, not even a typo version of me. No Carla. No Clara. Just air where I should have been. That kind of exclusion doesn't shout. It hums, quiet, constant, like a fridge running in the background until one day the silence reminds you it's gone. I sat in my office in Santa Monica surrounded by glass deadlines and degrees, a corner view I fought hard to earn, but the room felt cold in a way California sun couldn't fix. I looked at the email again, then at my name, missing like it had never belonged. I almost closed the laptop. Almost. But something made me open a new tab. I typed in the name of the beach house where the retreat had always been held. A wide, whitewashed house on the Georgia coast, porch swing. Twinkle lights, the last place I saw my father laugh before his stroke made it hard, and there it was. A new listing, not for rent, for sale. No group text, no call. Not even a, just so you know, I read every line. Price lowered, seller-motivated deed under review. I recognized the agent. Same woman who handled my grandmother's property, and just like that, I felt the air shift. They were getting rid of it. Quietly, like they got rid of me, like I was just another memory to unload. But I wasn't angry. Not yet. I closed the tab, turned to the bookshelf behind me. There it was, the turquoise shell, the one my father gave me at 9. You think in tides, Clara, he said. Don't ever let them make you small. That's when the idea began. They'd erased my name from every invitation, but I still remembered how to sign one. The thing about being erased is, no one ever tells you it's happening. It starts slow. One missed call. One family photo posted without you. One seat left empty at a dinner table where no one bothers to ask where you are. At first I tried. I sent Christmas gifts, joined the group thread when it still had my name on it. Flew back for Thanksgiving even when the flight cost more than my rent. I offered to help with Mom's mortgage when Camille's boys needed new braces. I did what youngest daughters are supposed to do. Show up, stay quiet, be useful, but useful only lasts so long. Camille always had the spotlight. She was warm, photogenic, loud in a way people called charming. She hosted baby showers with signature cocktails, designed matching t-shirts for reunions. Once called me from a Michael's craft store just to ask if I liked teal or coral for the beach house table settings. I said, I don't think I'm coming that year. She said, That's okay, Clara. We'll save you a plate. But no one did. After our father's stroke, I flew out alone, sat in the hospital with him while Camille was too overwhelmed and Mom couldn't deal with seeing him like that. I fed him, read aloud from his favorite Steinbeck book. When he could speak again, his voice cracked. You came. That winter, I asked Mom about estate planning, not for money, just to understand what would happen to the house, the accounts, the trust he'd mentioned. She smiled tightly, said Camille, and I have it covered. Don't worry your pretty head, I stopped asking. The last time I tried to visit the family beach house, the spare key wasn't under the mat anymore. Camille said they'd changed the locks after a break-in, but I hadn't heard about any break-in. I started skipping holidays. I sent cards that never got replies. I stopped correcting them when they called me busy or distant on Facebook posts. One day, Mom posted a throwback photo of Camille and Dad sitting on the beach, the sunset behind them. I remember that photo. I took it. I was right there, off frame. She cropped me out. That was the year I stopped sending gifts, but I didn't stop watching. Savannah, my old neighbor, now working as a paralegal, still looped me in. Quietly screenshots snippets, email threads I'd been deleted from. They think you disappeared, she said once, but you've just been listening. I wasn't gone. I was waiting. And sometimes the people who forget you the fastest are the ones most afraid of what happens when you come back. I didn't buy the house out of revenge. I bought it because I was done pretending my absence was a glitch. The listing had been live for 13 days, quiet. No big announcement, no family group text, just a quiet for sale link buried in a real estate newsletter I almost deleted. The house wasn't even listed under the Whitmore name anymore. It had been moved to an LLC, something Camille likely set up after Dad passed a shell structure to make things clean. I knew that language. I lived in corporate strategy. I'd seen that trick 100 times, but I wasn't mad. I was methodical. I printed the documents, called a friend in property law, scheduled a call with Savannah that same night. She ran a title search in under 10 minutes and found something we hadn't expected: a clause in the trust tied directly to me. Dad's original trust had a fallback clause. If the estate fell into delinquency, missed tax filings, lapsed insurance, lack of disclosure, the secondary beneficiary me had full claim to title reassignment. The taxes had lapsed, so had the insurance. It wasn't even negligence. It was laziness. Arrogance. Camille and Mom probably assumed the house could sit there half-used, half-claimed until they figured out what to do with it. But Dad had built a back door. Just in case, Savannah's voice was quiet. "If you want it. Clara, it's yours. No fight necessary." I didn't answer right away. I just stared at the turquoise shell on my desk, still intact after all these years. I remembered Dad brushing sand off it and handing it to me like it was sacred. You think in tides he'd said, "Not waves, you come back stronger." That night, I opened a clean spreadsheet, my own finances, stock options, liquid assets, discretionary savings. I wasn't wealthy like Camille's posts implied, but I had built something solid. Quiet, independent. I reached out to the listing agent 2 days later. She didn't recognize my name until I said Whitmore. "Clara, daughter of Thomas." She paused. "Oh, you. You're the other one." "Yes, the other one." I signed the purchase documents under the fallback clause. No press, no notice. Then I opened the booking portal and reserved one room, the master suite. 3 nights, check-in Friday. Guest name, Miss C. Whitmore. Under preferences, I typed, "Please place a bottle of Perrier Jouet on ice. Guest prefers firm pillows, cotton sheets, and full privacy." When the confirmation came through, I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I just sat still. They had erased me from the invitation. I had just added myself to the deed. I arrived early, not to greet anyone, not to watch, just to see the house again before they touched it. It looked smaller than I remembered, or maybe I had just grown. The porch swing was still crooked. The shutters needed paint. Someone had replaced the front lantern with a cheap solar bulb, but it still breathed the same way in the ocean wind, softly, like it had waited for me. I didn't stay long, just long enough to check that the champagne was on ice. The sheets were turned down, and my name was spelled correctly in the guest registry. Then I left. I parked 2 streets over in a rented sedan and waited. At 6:42 p.m., Camille's white Audi pulled into the driveway. Her husband got out first, fussing with luggage. 2 kids tumbled out behind them, already arguing. Camille stepped out. Last, sunglasses perched high like a crown. Next came Mom, riding in the back of Uncle Roger's SUV. She wore her resort linen white-on-white pearls at her throat. No makeup, just tinted lip balm. The uniform of a Southern woman preparing for gracious denial. They rolled their bags toward the front steps, all smiles and movement. I could hear laughter. Vague instructions. Camille led the way to reception, and then everything stopped. The front desk clerk, a young woman with a pixie cut and an apologetic smile, said the words like reading a weather report. "I'm sorry I don't have any of your names listed on the guest reservation. Are you with Miss Clara Whitmore's party?" Camille blinked. "I'm sorry, whose party?" "Miss Clara Whitmore. She has the full reservation." The name hit like glass on tile. There was a silence, not the kind that waits for someone to speak, but the kind that rearranges the room. I stepped out of the car then. Not for drama, just because it was time. My heels clicked against the tile floor as I walked in, calm and certain I didn't look at Camille. I didn't need to. "I can clarify," I said to the clerk. "I'm Miss Whitmore. The deed finalized 2 weeks ago." Camille turned her face tight. "You bought the house?" "Yes." Mom's voice was soft, confused. "But why would you do this?" I looked at her, not angry, not cold, just finished, because I was never invited. But I was never gone. Camille stepped forward, arms stiff. You think this is funny? You think hijacking our family trip proves something? No, I said. It settles something. I handed my ID to the clerk. Anyone not on my guest list should be politely escorted. But don't be harsh, I added almost gently. They're family. The clerk hesitated, then nodded. Behind me, no one spoke. Not Camille, not Mom, not Uncle Roger. The silence did the work for me. Let them explain it to each other. Let them say my name. Now, they left the front desk without a word. No shouting, no storming off, just stiff shoulders and silence that trailed behind them like smoke. I didn't follow, I didn't need to. They knew now that was enough, or so I thought. The next morning, a news van showed up. I saw it from the window, white with blue lettering parked just beyond the hedges. A man in a button-down shirt and too much gel stood outside holding a mic. He squinted into the camera like he was breaking a major scandal. I didn't open the door. But the moment the segment aired, my phone lit up like a fire alarm. Texts, emails, a voicemail from an old coworker I hadn't spoken to in years. Is this true? Did you really take your family's house through a legal loophole while your dad was sick? The headline read, Daughter uses trust. Clause to oust family from generational property. They made me sound like a predator in heels. The story quoted a close family source who claimed my father was in cognitive decline and manipulated into signing over his legacy. No name, but I didn't need one. Camille had always known how to weaponize other people's sympathy. I sat with it, didn't cry, didn't type a statement. Instead, I called Savannah time. I asked. She didn't need more context. I'll send the file in 15. What she sent was meticulous. Organized, dated screenshots of texts between Camille and Mom. Messages that read, Don't worry, Clara's not coming again. She makes everything about herself. She's too busy proving something to care about family. Don't feel bad excluding her. She's used to it. There were audio files, too. One from a speakerphone call caught mid-lunch. Camille's voice, sharp and clear. Clara was always too fragile to survive in this family. Let her rot in her condo. We're better off. But the most important file was the video shot from 2 summers ago. My father sat on the back porch legs wrapped in a blanket, holding a chipped mug. I sat beside him just out of frame. His voice was soft but steady. I want Clara to have this place, he said. Camille makes things loud, but Clara makes things last. I hadn't watched it since the day we recorded it. I'd saved it. For moments like this. The next morning, I uploaded everything to a secure drive, sent the link only to one reporter I trusted, someone who'd written a piece years ago on elder care, abuse, and inheritance conflict. No captions, no commentary. Just a message. This is the full story. Decide what matters. It didn't go viral. It didn't need to. By afternoon, the original headline was pulled. The station issued a quiet correction. My inbox slowed, so did the messages. That night, Savannah texted me 2 words. They're quiet. And then a third. You ready? I looked out the window at the ocean, black and endless under the moonlight. Yes. The courthouse smelled like dust and disinfectant. I arrived early. No entourage, no lawyer in an expensive suit. Just me, a navy dress my grandmother once called steel-willed blue, and a folder tucked tight beneath my arm. Inside that folder was everything they didn't expect to surface. Camille was already seated when I walked in, all-white pantsuit, lips pressed into a line so flat it could have sliced paper. She didn't turn around, but I saw her fingers tapping against her phone, fast and nervous. Mom sat beside her spine. Too straight, pearls trembling slightly with every breath. She glanced at me once, then quickly away. The clerk called the case. Whitmore v. Whitmore, petition for injunction on disputed property filed under claim of undue influence and elder manipulation. Their attorney stood first. Slick tan too young to remember dial-up. He said words like intent, vulnerability, coercion. He called me estranged. He made sure to pause before the word. Let it hang. I didn't flinch. When it was my turn, I stood slowly. No theatrics, just the truth. Your Honor, I'd like to submit video and audio evidence relevant to the trust and my father's clear intent. The judge nodded. His glasses slid slightly down his nose as the bailiff dimmed the lights. The video played. My father wrapped in that old blanket. His voice calm. I want Clara to have this place. Camille makes things loud. Clara makes things last. She's the only one who came after the fall, the only one who didn't ask for anything. A pause. Then he looked toward the camera and said clearly, "It's not about fairness. It's about memory." I watched the room. Mom blinked too fast. Camille's jaw twitched. Then came the audio, the call, her voice. Let her rot in her condo. She was never part of this family. She should have been easier to control. Silence followed. Not the stunned kind, the resigned kind. The judge leaned back, tapped his pen once-twice. This court finds no grounds for the petition. The evidence confirms clarity of mind and direct intention from the deceased. The language used by the plaintiffs suggests exclusion, not misunderstanding. He removed his glasses. This court does not resolve emotional wounds, it enforces law. And in this case, the law is clear. He banged the gavel. Petition denied. Camille stood fists clenched but still. Mom remained seated, eyes glassy but dry. I gathered my folder and walked out without looking back. On the steps outside, reporters waited. One mic slipped forward, half a question hanging in the wind. "Do you have anything you'd like to say to your family?" I paused. Just long enough, then, "No, I said it already. I just used quieter words," and I kept walking. The house was quiet when I returned. No suitcases on the porch. No voices bouncing off the walls, just the hum of the ocean and the faint rattle of wind through the loose shutters. Inside, it looked the same, but lighter, like something had been drained from the rooms. Noise, maybe, or denial. I didn't touch anything at first. I walked through slowly, touched the wood grain on the banister, smoothed the corner of the rug in the hallway, let the silence tell me what stayed and what had left. In the office room, once my father's, then Grandma's, I opened the bottom drawer of the old desk, the one they never emptied. Inside was the wind chime we'd made together. Seashells strung on fishing line, blue thread frayed knots loose, my 9-year-old handwriting still faint on one of the larger shells, EW. I sat on the floor, legs crossed like a child, and began untangling. I didn't fix it to make it pretty. I fixed it because some things don't need to be perfect to still matter. When Savannah arrived, she brought wine and paper towels. "You didn't think I'd let you claim victory without cleaning windows, did you?" She smiled. We worked in silence. Two women scrubbing away more than dust, scrubbing years of dismissal of being the footnotes in someone else's story. At sunset, I hung the wind chime outside the kitchen window. It caught the breeze like it remembered how to dance. Later, as we sat on the porch, Savannah asked, "What now?" I looked out toward the horizon. They said I left, that I drifted, but I didn't go anywhere. I paused. They just chose not to see me. We didn't toast. We didn't celebrate. We just sat there, 2 glasses in hand, watching the sea move like breath. When I turned off the lights that night, I did it room by room, from the inside. If this story stirred something quiet in you, something you haven't spoken about in years, you're not alone. There are more of us than you think. People who didn't leave. We were just never called back. If you've ever been written out of your own story, leave a comment, or just a word. So the silence doesn't win this time. We read every one.